Hooking up an inverter to your car or truck can be a great way to get a little bit of extra power in any sort of grid down type situation or short-term power outage. It's really easy to do, although you do need to take a few things into consideration, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'll also explain what it is that you can power and what it is that you may not be able to. And I'll also go over connecting the inverter to your vehicle step by step and the different types of inverters that there are. And it's also important to think about your alternator size and how much it's going to output if you're thinking about going this route. And along those lines, it's also important that we think about some other options as well and not have this be our go-to option in any sort of emergency. The benefits of hooking up an inverter to your vehicle, though, are it's relatively inexpensive. Your vehicle is basically like a generator without having to buy the actual generator and store that. Although it's not going to be very useful on power-hungry items, and it's not meant for long-term type situations or possibly even overnight. You don't want your vehicle sitting and running all night in the middle of something where people may be running around and it could get stolen. But it would be great for charging small devices and maybe even during the daytime, keeping your refrigerator on, maybe powering that refrigerator up a couple times a day just to keep everything in there cool. And you could even use your vehicle to charge up. If you have a LiFePO4 battery, you could use your vehicle to charge that up and you could take that battery inside and then you'd be able to power some of those electronics during the night and not have your car running. So while you may not want this as your go-to power source, it is a great emergency option and something we should all have in our back pocket and understand how useful this is. Now I'm going to get into how to hook up an inverter to your vehicle, but first I want to talk about the ports on the inside of your car, because these days with all the new cars and all the electronics in the cars, it's highly likely that you're going to have either the cigarette lighter port that is 12 volt power that you can use, and possibly even like in my truck, I have the AC outlet that it basically already has that inverter inside my truck. Now keep in mind your vehicle, and all vehicles are going to be different. Keep in mind that this is on a 20 amp fuse. So a 12 volt battery, you're looking at 250 watts or so that you can pull out of this before you trip the breaker. So it's not for those really high demand devices, but if you've got cell phones you want to charge, tablets and things like that, even laptops, this is going to work pretty well in situations like that. Again, just not for the higher output devices. If you don't have the 120 socket in your car, you could also get, like I have, a Bestech 300 watt power inverter that will plug into one of these cigarette lighter ports and it will give me AC power. Just keep in mind, you need to stay under the rating for this, otherwise you'll blow that fuse. And you can look in your owner's manual and probably even get online and find out what each of these outlets are rated for. But these interior sockets with an extension cord that maybe you put out through the window and run it into your house are a great option, although, like I said, 250 watts is not enough to run your refrigerator, but you could run some lights and charge some smaller devices and things like that. Now, to run your refrigerator or power these appliances or supplies that take over 250 watts, 350 to 1,000, you would need to hook up an inverter. And an inverter is really basic and really simple to hook up to your vehicle. And there are a couple of different types of inverters out there. You've got the modified sine wave or square sine wave, and you've got the pure sine wave. And pure sine wave is always going to be more expensive, but it's a whole lot better, and you can basically run anything with a pure sine wave. A modified sine wave or square sine wave, You want to make sure your sensitive electronics and a lot of electronics with motors aren't going to handle this very well. Sure, they will run initially, but over extended periods of time, and this includes your refrigerators, it could damage the motor in those refrigerators and those sensitive electronics. So it's important that you always try to go with that pure sine wave inverter, because it's the type of electricity, or the closest type of electricity, that you would have coming out of your wall. And I will get into what size you need here in a second, but I want to talk about hooking one up first. And basically, you just need to hook this up to your battery. And what I do is put this on a board for stability. I will just get a 2x6 or whatever type of board you have, something that will fit securely in the engine compartment of your vehicle where this won't vibrate around and fall off. You attach the inverter to that. The inverters, a lot of them have the alligator clips, which make it really easy to connect to your battery. And in a situation like this, alligator clips are going to work just fine. One thing you do need to pay attention to is make sure you're hooking up the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative, because you can really damage things if you are reversed. So you just make sure and take a couple extra seconds and just verify that you're doing everything correctly, because you don't want to damage anything. Another thing is, this will work without your vehicle on, but you're going to drain the battery. So make sure that you turn your vehicle on. Your vehicle is on for this, because one, you're going to get more amps from your alternator. You're going to use your alternator rather than just the battery. And two, you don't want to kill your vehicle just to have a few lights on. So it's important that we keep that battery maintained while we're using that alternator and not draining everything. And if we do have to evacuate, we're kind of hosed at that point, because we killed our car battery and we can't get out of there. So just make sure you've got your vehicle running and everything's going to be fine. Now, as far as what you're going to be able to power, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and you're going to have to do some calculations depending on what size of vehicle you have and how new your vehicle is also. Some of the newer vehicles have more high-powered alternators than some of the older vehicles. If you've got a truck, it's going to have a bigger alternator than, say, a compact car. And that is going to be a huge factor in deciding what it is you can run and what it is you can't. In my truck, I have a 130 amp alternator. And to get how many watts that is, you take that 130 amps times the battery voltage of the system, so 12 volts, and you get just over 1,500 watts, 1,560 or so. So in my vehicle, that's what I can expect my alternator to put out. Now, it doesn't put that out at idle. That is the amount it will put out at about 2,000 RPM. So if you're going down a highway or something like that, you're going to get that output. Sitting in your driveway, you're not going to get anywhere near that. So you've got to keep that in mind as well. Something else that you need to consider is that your alternator, your battery, also gets used for other components in your car. Whether you're talking about your radios, the heater, the lights, all of those, the interior outlets that you have. All of those things are going to take power from that 1,500 watts or whatever it is that you have. Some of the newer cars have larger alternators. Even these smaller compact cars may have over 1,000 watts as far as the alternator goes. Some of the older cars are going to have lower ones because they don't have all the bells and whistles that all these newer cars have. So you can find out exactly what yours has by looking through the owner's manual, even going into an auto parts place and getting the part number and seeing that way. Also, if you do have an older car or an alternator that doesn't put out a whole lot of amps, maybe the next time you replace that, or even, now if you wanted to, get one of the top of the line models that puts out more amps rather than the base low cost models. That way, in an emergency or a situation like this, you're going to have as many watts available to you as you possibly can. Once you figure out how much power you're going to be able to generate from your vehicle, then you can start thinking about the size of the inverter that you might need. Now, keep in mind, these inverters are going to be useful in other situations as well. So if you've only got about 500 watts you can take from your vehicle, you may want to get a larger inverter than that 500 watts. Or another option would be to get that 500 watt pure sine wave inverter and another option that's larger, say 1,000 watts, because the larger the inverter that you have, the more energy it's going to take to run that inverter. So that's loss that you're going to have. The smaller the inverter, the less loss you're going to have. So if you know you're only going to be using 500 watts, you can have a 500 watt inverter. If you know you're going to be using more than that, you can use your 1,000 watt inverter. It's really up to you though. Start with the basic and the smallest and sort of work your way up. So it's important that you go in understanding exactly what you're going to be able to take from that alternator and how much power you actually do have. I would say with your car sitting at idle, I would factor in about 50% of what it's rated at. So if you've got, like mine, 1,500 watts, I'm looking at less than 1,000, 750, 800 watts that I will count as usable energies that I could use without draining my battery or not draining it too much. And just do that calculation for your alternator, the amps times the 12 volts that your battery is, and you'll get how many watts you'll be able to pull from that, or watt hours that you'll be able to pull from that. Now, as I've mentioned a couple of times, doing this is really that worst case scenario type thing, because you don't want to damage your vehicle, something that could be super important as far as evacuation or bugging out, things like that. You really don't want to damage your vehicle. But it is a good option to have in your tool belt just in case you need something a little bit extra, or you need something until the other options become available to you. So it is important that all you really need is an extension cord and an inverter. It's important that we have those and we understand how this process works, but we should have other options as well. The LFP batteries are a really good option these days, and the LiFePO4 batteries are something that can be stored inside. A 100 amp hour LFP battery is probably a couple $100, even one of the lower cost ones. You don't need one of the really expensive ones if it's going to just sit on your shelf waiting for a situation like this. But these are great options to have. You've also got a million different types of power stations these days. It used to be just the Jackeries, but there are a lot of different kinds these days. I would stick with some of the a little more well-known brands rather than these ones you've never heard of. I've reviewed a few different power stations on this channel, and you can find those if you just go to the channel page and search for those. The EcoFlows are probably my favorite as far as the budget models that are really high quality, or you could always go with the Jackery as well. But if you're really looking at saving some money, just that LFP battery and this inverter that you already have for your vehicle anyway would be a great option. I recently did a video that talked about how this setup works and how you can store this in a milk crate. You just hook up the LiFePO4 battery to that inverter and you've got power inside your home. You don't have to worry about dragging extension cords from your vehicle. If you want to watch that video, you can watch that here. With that, I am done today. If you have any questions, make sure and leave them in the comments below. Take care and prepare, everyone. We will talk to you all later.